So, before we get started, I would like to have a question. Please raise your hand if you have known about the term mental health. Now, please raise your hand if you used to learn or attend in an educational event about mental health. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hannah, and today I'll be presenting about mental health. First of all, what is mental health? According to the Cambridge Dictionary, mental health is the condition of mind showing whether a person is feeling good or not suffering from any mental illness. A person with a good mental health can be able to cope with stresses in life and manage between positive and negative emotions. But different from mental health, mental illness is a health condition that negatively affects a person's mood, thinking, and behavior. People with mental illness tend to have excessive low feelings and may also experience unusual emotional outbursts. These health conditions come from childhood abuses, long-term stresses, or life pressure that caused people to become depressed, having anxiety disorders, or even commit suicide. These days, we can easily see mental illness in students. And I, myself, have also suffered from mental illness. But don't worry, I have found a way to overcome it, and that's why I'm here giving up a speech to help those who are also experiencing the same problem. Today, I'll be sharing my story. I am a student with many problems in my life. As I go through them, I have always tried to be positive and look at the brighter sides of my problems. But the more I try to handle them, there's always a voice beside me that tries to bring me down. Every time that I feel sad because of not getting the results that were as expected, there's always somebody telling me that I am a big, fat loser. Every time that I feel lost in a group of friends, there's always somebody telling me that I am not worth people's attention. And that somebody is myself, my inner critic. People who give comments about food are called gourmet critics. People who give comments about music are called music critics. And people who give comments about ourselves are called inner critics. So an inner critic is basically an inner voice that tells us negative thoughts that we have about ourselves. Our inner critics are developed in childhood as a result of high expectations that we cannot meet from our parents, our teachers, our friends, or anyone around us. I've read a quote that when children are mainly praised for their achievements, they learn achievements as love. More achievements, more love, more worth. And if we fail, the negative thoughts will keep repeating over and over again in our mind. That is how our inner critic begins. Since I moved to my secondary school, there have been several times that I have to deal with my own inner critic, especially about my grades. During exams days, I have to try really hard and put a lot of effort into studying. Sometimes the results were good, but there were also sometimes that the results weren't as what I expected. Then I would totally be so disappointed in myself. Because imagine the higher your expectations are, the more painful it is when you fall down. My inner critic will start judging me. What is wrong with you? Look at them. Their grades are much higher than yours. They got an A. They are the pride of their parents. Why can't you be like them? And for a period of time, I have to live in the maze of all those negative thoughts and couldn't find a way out. Because the first challenge that I get was to face with my own inner self. Whether to choose between stepping out of my comfort zones or to stay. But I found a solution for my problems. A way educating ourselves, overcoming our inner criticism. The 3 A's. So the first A is awareness. Whenever your inner critic comes to mind, start to be aware of its appearance and observe all the negative things that your inner critic is telling you. But how can we be aware of our inner critic? Meditation. Some days, I'm gonna spend about 15 minutes sitting in a quiet room or somewhere that I can feel secure. How this works is when I was sitting in silence, nothing else except my thoughts came to mind. That is also when my inner critics will come out, following the negative things about myself, telling me to change this, and started telling mean things about me. And so when it happens, I started to be aware and observe all the negative things that it is telling me. To fix something, first, we need to understand it. And so when you become the observer of your thoughts instead of someone who consumes them, you will see them as thoughts, not facts. Now, let's move on to the second A, asking. Question yourself. Are your negative thoughts based on facts or assumptions? Then challenge them with evidence that contradicts them and replace your thoughts with a more balanced and realistic ones. How can you find an evidence to argue back? Start asking yourself, what old belief brings on that negative thought? For example, I'm so useless. I make mistakes on my test. I cannot do that question. The belief would be, I cannot do this thing, and that negates everything that I can do. Now, you can see how ridiculous that is, right? The last A, answering. So I created a character from my own inner critic who I can talk to and argue with. And so whenever it comes to mind and started saying mean things about me that I think, okay, you have exceeded the time limit, I will talk back. But remember, talk to yourself like how you would offer it to a close friend. Compassion, kindness, and love. What is wrong with you? Why did you make those mistakes? If you did, pay more attention. Calm down, calm down. It's all going to be okay, all right? Mistakes are part of my learning process, and it's okay for us to have doubt and imperfections. Also, my worth doesn't base on how many achievements that I get. At least I knew that I tried, and I'm gonna try harder next time. It's all going to be okay. Now, you can either let them define you or let them have a little moment and then let them go. So whenever you are emotional, I recommend you to set the timer for 10 minutes. During that time, you can allow yourself to be sad, to be disappointed, to be ashamed, or whatever you want. Because we are all humans, and we cannot stop ourselves from having those feelings. But remember, never let those negative thoughts affect you for too long. When the timer is up, get out of your bed, get out of your negative thoughts, do something that you enjoy that makes you happy. Because feeling sad doesn't solve any problems. You keep feeling sad and life still goes on. I know dealing with your inner critic is extremely frustrating, but your inner critic will never disappear and it will always be there to tell you you are not good enough and tries to bring you down. I challenge you to be aware of your inner critic. Ask yourself and have the answer for your problems. As long as you unlock the way to deal with your inner critic, you unlock your mental health. Thank you for listening.